years. And one thing that I've learned over that period of time is that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. There isn't one thing that solves every problem. We've had all sorts of things like we've had feed-in tariffs, we've had the renewable heat incentive, we've had the low carbon buildings program, clear skies. Now we've got, of course, the Green Deal, which I think some people are heralding as the panacea that's going to solve all of our problems. I think it's, however, part of the solution to the problem, but not everything. So I'm going to talk to you about really an alternative to the Green Deal for energy efficiency for non-domestic buildings. We're going to have some time for questions towards the end, I believe, Patricia. So if you've got any questions, write them down, and we'll pick those up then. I think you can also type in questions. There's like a chat facility on your screen. So if you've got any burning questions you want us to prepare for them, please type them in. If you don't want to just wait till the end. So just working out how this works. Okay. Right, that's good. I was under the wrong control. So we're eco2solutions Group. That's my company. You may have heard of eco2solar. It's been trading for about 6 years or so. We recently created eco2energy to particularly address this market, and that's sort of sitting under the eco2solutions banner. So in simple terms, eco2solar, which was formed in 2007, supply and install solar renewable technologies for all sorts of buildings, from homes, public buildings, social housing, and large commercial buildings, both on a new build and a retrofit basis. Eco2energy is focused, as I said earlier, on non-domestic buildings, and is designed to reduce energy and provide energy savings technologies for all sorts of buildings. So in simple terms, eco2solar is creating renewable energy locally, and eco2energy is looking to save the energy that you use. It's looking to reduce the demand. We have a prestigious client list that we're very proud of, including some local councils like Birmingham and Worcestershire, some NHS trusts such as Birmingham PCT and South Warwickshire, as well as a number of construction and contracting companies such as Barrett's, Mansell's and Galliford Try, and Sanctuary Housing on the social housing side, and Festival 2, they're local. We won an award recently that we're very proud of, the National Constructing Excellence Award for SMEs. You can see me there with a beaming, slightly red face after a little bit too much wine at dinner, receiving my award. So as a background to this, why do we need energy efficiency within non-domestic or commercial buildings? I think this is probably a question that most people would have some idea what the answer is to, on the basis that energy bills keep rising. But a recent survey of 500 companies of up to about 100 million turnover by Business Juice found that business energy prices have risen 58% since 2010. 31% of companies said the impact of that was so serious it could transform the way they do business and potentially put them out of business if it becomes too severe. 97% have said they'd already started doing something about that, or would consider doing so, but only 14% had installed an energy management system. So there's quite a bit of scope there, I think, for companies and organisations to improve that situation. Against that background, we've also got peak oil and gas, where prices are rising. I think that there's likely to be some peaks on the gas prices round about now due to the severity of the cold weather and the demand, which has caused a bit of a spike really at a point it wasn't expected. And the UK is also now becoming a net importer of gas, whereas 5-10 years ago we were producing our own gas from the North Sea and exporting it. Now we're reliant on other countries, whether it be Russia, Norway, or the Middle East for our gas, and that has an impact obviously on security of supply, but also on pricing, which is tending upwards. So it's expected the UK energy bills will rise by 60% over the next 7 years. And if you look at the 58% over the last 3 years, that may be conservative. And lastly, of course, climate change is an issue that we're all addressing, and certainly government's very focused on. Around 50% of carbon emissions in the UK come from buildings, so it isn't all about aeroplanes and other things that consume high amounts of fuel. Actually, 50% comes from buildings, which is the highest level of CO2 emissions in the country. So talking about eco2energy, Our approach really is a consultative one. So the idea is that we don't want to come and sell you something. We want to discuss with you what your needs are and look at ways of reducing your energy bills. If we can't do that, then we have nothing to provide to you. We're looking to provide as much as possible a one-stop shop, so rather than just providing one technology, we're providing a number of different technologies, which I'll talk to you about a little bit later. And we have an ability to survey your building or your estate if you have a number of buildings, and produce an energy options report, which really will be something that you can present to your board if necessary, or to your management, which will detail all the sort of things that you could do with paybacks and costs and return on investment and that kind of thing. Completely based on ROI and payback. So you know, if we can't provide a payback within the requisite amount of time, whether you set 3 years or 5 years, and it will be within that sort of period of time, we're not looking at 10, 20 years paybacks on these technologies, then you will make a decision yourselves as to whether that's something that's worthwhile doing within your own organisation, within your own business. So you know, it is really a hard-headed investment decision. Really, is does it make financial sense or not? We're looking to work with you over longer periods of time, really try and develop a relationship rather than just providing a technology and walking away. We're looking to build long-term relationships where we have some accountability, really, in terms of you know, monitoring and the feedback of how our installations go. So we don't expect that that you will take what we say to you on our word. We will look at it over a period of time and ensure that you're achieving the results that we promised you in the first place, and be involved and accountable for that. So we're looking to provide a sort of an end-to-end life cycle approach, really, and sort of build a long-term relationship with our clients. We have some partners that we're working with from a delivery perspective. E.H. Smith provide us with kit, and they're within the market. They are builders merchants, but they're also very proactive in terms of looking for new technologies in the renewable and energy efficiency space. So we rely on them heavily to advise us what the latest technology is, really, and provide it for us at the right time, at the right price. Green Puzzle Energy Solutions will provide any fabric or insulation-based solutions that we need. We don't do fabric or insulation work, but they will provide that for us as and when that's required for a project. Encraft is a low-carbon consultancy company whose entire focus really is on helping companies reduce their energy use and their carbon footprint, and they're able to provide an independent energy options report for the client, which you can then use to justify or not the investment in these types of technologies. And lastly, Worldview Learning are a behaviour change company. They have a software model which allows you to build a model of your business, of your building, that people can relate to, and look at the impact, for example, of doing different things, implementing a technology, leaving lights on, opening windows, doing things in different ways, as well as implementing technologies, and that can also be quite powerful. Although we say one-stop shop, obviously we've got to start somewhere, so we're offering 4 technologies initially, but other technologies will become available over time as required, and sometimes more specific technologies like refrigeration-based free cooling, for example, that kind of thing. So these are the 4 we're going to start with. First of all, energy demand management is really an ability to pull together all of the information regarding your energy within your building. So it's looking at 2 ends, really. First of all, it's looking to provide, where it isn't there, connectivity to the various elements that use energy within your building, whether it's refrigeration units, whether it be air conditioning and chillers, whether it be lighting, it could be computers and servers. It doesn't really matter. It's looking to pick up the information from all of those pieces of kit. Now, that might already be in place with a current building management system or BMS, but if it isn't, and if that's the case, we just link to the BMS. If it isn't in place, we can put sensors and other things in place and meters to ensure we've got that information fed into our energy demand management system. The energy demand management system itself is a high-level view of your building or your estate, which allows you to see at a high level what is going on, so is it good, bad, or indifferent, but also allows you to drill down into that to see what's happening on specific bits of kit, specific zones within the building, and so on, and allow you to be able to monitor and measure what's going on and therefore do something about it. It also allows you to monitor your equipment. So it may well be if a particular piece of kit is out of tolerance energy-wise, that's because there's something wrong with it. and it needs to be either a maintenance event or it needs to be replaced. And that's obviously decisions you can make that you wouldn't otherwise know about until the whole thing completely fell down. So at a high level, the screen can look like this. It is user definable. In this instance, we've got a map of the various sites that the client has. We've got a power usage effectiveness kind of dashboard at the top, so let's know whether it's green, yellow, or red. So green being good, red being not so good, and that obviously will alert somebody to say, I need to go and look at that. And they've also chosen to have their gas usage and their electric usage on the graph on the main screen. But drilling down into that, you can then go and look at particular bits of kit, like for example, the cooling system here on the left-hand side. There's a floor pan which you can identify where things are going on. You can identify particular pieces of kit you want to monitor. Under the critical monitoring system, they've got fire systems, for example. You can also drill down into your electricity and gas meters and those sorts of things to see what's going on. I alluded to this earlier, but we can provide what we call a mini BMS or building management system, which will provide the relevant amount of information that you need to monitor your building and monitor the energy use within your building. It may well be that it's just temperature sensors trying to work out when the heating comes on and off. It may be that you want to be able to monitor the lighting more effectively. It may well be that you need to get into more detail looking at your refrigeration, chillers, motors, and any kind of equipment that's on a shop floor, for example, that needs to be monitored. So we can provide those bits of kit. It can be quite inexpensive, really, because because the price of these sensors and meters and those sorts of things have come down significantly, maybe as little as sort of £40–50 each. But they can also be wireless and batteried as well, so they don't need to be physically connected to the mains or connected back to any particular system, your central computers, for example. So there's not necessarily much wiring. And it will fit in also to all the relevant sort of protocols, if you like, this RS-232, RS-485, any standard backnet, for example, for building management systems. We can connect to pretty much any protocol, and the whole thing is what we call hardware agnostic. So we don't really care what hardware you've got installed, we can connect to it. The third technology is voltage optimization, which is quite a technical piece of kit, but in principle it's quite simple. On the basis that voltage times amps equals watts, and what we pay for in our electricity bill is the watts or watt hours, kilowatt hours that we use. If we're using too many watts, we're going to pay more for our electricity than we should. And if your voltage is too high, on the basis V times A equals W, we're going to be using more watts than we need to. So bearing in mind in the EU, the standard is 230 volts for a single phase, plus or minus 10%. Electricity can be delivered to you anywhere between 207 and 252 volts. The average in the UK is about 240, but most pieces of kit, most pieces of equipment are designed to work at about 220. So if you've got an additional 20 volts being delivered to you, you're paying for that additional electricity. The amps do come down a little bit if you increase the voltage, but not by very much. So you're going to be paying more for your electricity, but on top of that, you're also going to be overloading devices that are designed to take 220 volts. So this technology is designed to reduce the voltage, your incoming voltage, so that you're actually paying for less electricity, and it's also providing less overload to your equipment. There's also other benefits, for example, an improved power factor. You reduce the harmonics in your system, and also provides protection against spikes or transients. So actually your electricity supply is cleaner, and because the voltage is lower, you're going to pay less for it. This is great technology where it's appropriate, because it works better with certain kinds of electricity supplies than others. So if you have, for example, a resistive load like heating, a hot water immersion heater, for example, or electric heaters, actually they'll just take whatever voltage you throw at them. So they don't benefit very much at all from this type of technology, but we can take those out of the equation and just monitor the ones that will, like motors and T8 lighting, fluorescent lighting, that kind of thing. And we can also plug in data loggers, which will actually monitor over a period of a week what the voltage has been over that period of time. And we can then come back to you with pretty definitive savings that you would make from installing this technology, and we can actually guarantee that for 15 years. So it's very much hard facts based, and based on return on investment. And we would expect really probably a minimum of 5% saving on your electricity bill to make this worthwhile. Anything less than that, we'd probably advise you it's not worth doing, but you can save as much as 15% from this technology. We're working with a company called Power Perfector, who are arguably certainly the UK market leader for commercial buildings. A more obvious technology that you've probably heard of is LED lighting. LED as a technology has been around for many years. I remember back in the 70s and 80s having LED calculators and watches, and the technology is kind of the same, but it's developed significantly. We now see LEDs not just in lighting but also in television screens and those sorts of things. So LED is a solid state technology. Now that means it's much more reliable than fluorescent lamps or old-fashioned incandescent lamps. They last longer. So instead of lasting on average 5 to 10,000 hours as maybe a fluorescent light would, less if it's an incandescent type lamp or a CFL. These technologies last from 30 to 50,000 hours, which on our typical use really will be somewhere between 10 and 15 years. The energy usage is significantly lower than its standard equivalent. If you're replacing halogen spotlights, for example, it can be as little as a fifth of the energy that's used for an equivalent LED. If you're using fluorescence, for example, you've got fluorescence in your office. If you replace it with LED, it'll be about half the energy use that you would expect from a fluorescent. And the ROI is dead easy to work out, because if you're taking out a 20-watt lamp, for example, and putting in a 10-watt lamp, you know you're saving 10 watts. You just got to multiply that out by how much you pay for your electricity per kilowatt hour times the number of hours that it's going to be on in a year, for example. That'll give you a very simple, very predictable payback. Again, we would expect probably a 3 to 5 year payback on this, but it can be as little as 12 months in certain instances, maybe with halogen spotlights, those sorts of things. We can also provide an independent measurement and verification service on this. We work with somebody called Eve. They're a spin-out actually of Power Perfector, although they're an independent company now. And they will provide completely independent, paid for, so somebody will have to pay for that obviously, but it's paid for measurement and verification. So that won't be us telling you that you saved money. It won't be you looking at it and thinking you might have. It will be independent and will provide you a report as to exactly what's happened and what you saved. It's all very well talking about these options and saving money if there's no money up front to pay for them. So there are a number of finance options that we're offering. First one obviously is if you can pay for it yourself and you've got money in the bank, that's the most cost-effective way of doing it, because you get all of the benefit and there's no kind of interest charges or anything else. Secondly, if you can't do that, we can provide a carbon trust loan, which is not a zero interest loan, but it's a low interest loan from Siemens, and that is designed similar to the Green Deal. Really, it's designed that the payments that you make on a monthly or quarterly basis will be less than the savings that you make from implementing the technologies. Thirdly, there are certain things, for example, solar PV and LED lighting projects, some of them subject to sort of the project itself and its viability, can be actually completely free, and the savings can be shared with us or the finance provider. We're looking at energy performance contracting ESCO models at the moment. They're not complete, but we consider that in the coming months and years that will become a very common way of providing these technologies. In simple terms, that means that we install things for free, and then we get paid from the savings that you make. So we kind of split the savings in an agreed way. These models can be quite difficult legally sometimes to put together, but once they're in place, obviously it's a very attractive, almost no-brainer really, that you don't pay anything up front, but you make savings anyway. The Green Deal you've probably heard lots about, maybe ad nauseum, but the Green Deal is also a finance mechanism backed by the government that's available in a similar way to what I described with the Siemens scheme, where you are able to install energy-efficient technologies. You don't pay for them up front, you pay them back through your electricity bill, and the golden rule within that is designed so that your savings are always as much or more than the amount you're paying back on a monthly or quarterly basis. Lastly, I wanted to talk to you about smart energy procurement. This is an innovative way of unlocking money that would normally be paid to an energy broker to pay for energy-saving measures. So in the normal circumstances, if you're going to try and to get the best energy deal, and you're less than about £1 million a year spend, which, let's face it, virtually all of us are on our energy, then you would need to go through a broker. Now, energy broking is an unregulated market currently. That's about to change in the next 18 months or so. But it means that they will earn a commission from the deal that they place with Empower or E.ON or whoever the electricity company is before they pass on the pricing to you, and that is normally around about 3%. So what we're saying here is that if we place your energy contract through Get Smarter Energy, who are our partners, that 3% or so will be unlocked and made available as an available investment pool for us, i.e. you the client, as the provider, to invest in energy saving measures, and we will share the savings. That's how we get paid our commission, if you like, how we get paid for the energy saving devices that we put in. So that's a way of literally something for nothing, really. What you would have just been paid in commission is now available to you to contribute towards your energy saving or energy efficiency budget. Bear in mind also that although it might seem haphazard, we've had various changes of governments, certainly one in 2010 that's made a big impact to all of us, but that there is a long-term story here, starting back with probably before 2006 with the 2003 building regulations, but things like the Code for Sustainable Homes, the introduction of energy performance certificates, the feed-in tariffs, the renewable heat incentive, Green Deal, are all significant milestones along the way to zero carbon houses in 2016 and zero carbon buildings in 2019. So, every step along the way really is providing us with hopefully a better carbon picture, and it's all heading us towards more sustainable buildings, and I think we'd all argue that's a good thing. Thank you for listening. I'll hand over to Patricia now, and however we do this, to open it for questions, please.
Hello, everybody. So if anybody's got any questions, please do. We haven't had any, Paul. I've been keeping an eye on it.
Okay.
So, but we haven't had any questions at the minute. But if we do get any, I mean, Paul, we also are recording this, so you will be able to get this information if you require it. It'll be on the MetNet website, and also I'm sure on the eco2solutions website as well.
Yes.
But unless there's anything else, I think we can probably draw this to a close, Paul. How about you?
Yeah, that sounds fine. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and I hope you'll join us again sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Patricia.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.